Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's get it done. First question. What's the best way to take advantage of the post-workout window? Currently smashed down maltodextrin, whey, and isotonic. Are intra amino acid mixes that essential? I don't even know what isotonic means as far as supplements go. I know what it means in chemistry. I have no clue what it means in terms of supplements, so you lost me there, bud. But the anabolic window itself, you are the perfect example of why the anabolic window exists. The anabolic window is a marketing concept to sell products. It's not actually real. And all of the data that shows it being a real phenomenon is very cherry-picked data. For most people, the anabolic window is like 8 to 12 hours long. So how do you take advantage of it? I would recommend within 1 to 2 hours of finishing your training that you eat a meal with a fair amount of protein in it and a lot of carbs. Particularly if you're going to train again later the same day. That's what I would personally recommend. I wouldn't go more than about 2 hours without eating a nice big meal after you train, but that's just my personal advice on it. The evidence to show that that's even essential in a non-fasted person is pretty scarce. Remember, all this anabolic window stuff has been done on people who were fasted for 24 hours and then did 2 to 3 hours of training while being completely fasted for 24 hours. And it's because their body itself is in such a massively catabolic state by then that you do get a massive spike in anabolic response and muscle protein synthesis because of the fast absorbing substances that they're giving them at that point. But it doesn't actually work that way in the real world. Most of us, even us who do intermittent fasting, we're not fasting for 24 hours before we train. All right, next question. Is it possible to gain strength on a caloric deficit? That's really almost like asking me how long is a piece of string. The answer is yes, but it's dependent upon how much of a deficit you're in, how long you've been training, how strong you already are, because there are some people out there who, if they go on a 5% or 10% caloric deficit, they're going to lose a little bit of strength, no matter how they train. And these are usually very advanced, very strong lifters. Whereas then I can take a novice and put them on a strength training program and put them on a caloric deficit, have them lose a pound every single week, and their lifts will go up every single week. So it really is going to depend. But for the average lifter, yes, it is possible to make very small gains in strength as long as you're in a conservative caloric deficit and you're on a good strength training program. It is possible, but don't expect miracles. And you're always going to be able to gain strength massively faster in a surplus. All right, next question. In powerlifting, it seems like a lot of enhanced lifters use and/or promote low-frequency, high-fatigue-based training models. Do you think natural powerlifters should instead gravitate towards higher frequency, lower fatigue models as they grow into the intermediate and advanced levels? Yeah, I actually really agree with your latter assessment. I do think that if you're going to powerlift without any drugs, you do need a high frequency style of training. I would not be squatting less than 3 times a week. But if you're going to do it drug free, I wouldn't be squatting heavy 3 times a week. I would probably modulate the workload. I would definitely use some periodization. I would even use some undulating style periodization, possibly even throughout the week. But as far as your other assessment, you are right. There are a lot of big lifters who do that, but there's also some world record holders who are squatting like 5 and 6 days a week, who are also enhanced. So both methods do work, and some of these guys squat with very high volume, who are doing the ultra high frequency, but the drugs let them get away with it. They've built up their workload tolerance. You combine that with the anabolics, and yeah, they recover from it. But there are some who do the lower frequency also. So you're going to find among the big enhanced guys, it really varies massively. But I will say that for most drug-free lifters, the low frequency, high fatigue style of training is going to give you slower progress. Not to say that you still can't progress as a powerlifter doing that. It is going to go slower, just like that type of training will cause a bodybuilder to go slower. Because people forget, you're just not going to get dramatically stronger as a powerlifter without getting bigger. So even those frequencies and things do matter, and frequency of training also matters in terms of neural efficiency to a very large extent. And you have to remember that the guys who are using a lot of drugs, these things don't detrain as quickly as a result of the drugs, so they can get away with the lower frequency while still making really good gains. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys in part 3.